Good wishes to all of you. Fundamentals of Physical Geography, textbook for class 11, glossary. Here we have some glossary on geography. Take a look. Abiotic, non-living thing usually refers to the physical and chemical components of an organism's environment. Adiabatic lapse rate, the rate of change of temperature by an ascending or descending air mass. If no other non-adiabatic processes, that is, no heat enters or leaves the system, occur like condensation, evaporation, and radiation, expansion causes the parcel of air to cool at a set rate of 0.98 degrees per 0.98 degrees per 100 meters. The opposite occurs when a parcel of air descends in the atmosphere. The air in a descending parcel becomes compressed. Compression causes the temperature within the parcel to increase at a rate of 0.98 degrees per 100 meters. Air mass, a body of air whose temperature and humidity characteristics acquired in source region remain relatively constant over a horizontal distance of hundreds to thousands of kilometers. Air masses develop their climatic characteristics by remaining stationary over a source region for a number of days. Air masses are classified according to their temperature and humidity characteristics. Aphelion. It is the point in the Earth orbit when it is farthest from the Sun, 152.5 million kilometers. Aphelion occurs on the 3rd or 4th of July. Asthenosphere, zone in the Earth's mantle that exhibits plastic properties, located below the lithosphere at between 100 and 200 kilometers. Atmospheric pressure, weight of the atmosphere on a surface at sea level. The average atmospheric pressure is 1013.25 MB. Pressure is measured by a device called a barometer. Aurora, multicolored lights that appeared in the upper atmosphere ionosphere over the polar regions and visible from locations in the middle and high latitudes caused by the interaction of solar wind with oxygen and nitrogen gas in the atmosphere. Aurora in the northern hemisphere are called Aurora borealis and Aurora australis in the southern hemisphere. Batholithic. Batholith, a large mass of subsurface intrusive igneous rock that has its origins from mantle magma. Big Bang theory about the origin of universe. It suggests that about 15 billion years ago all of the matter and energy in the universe was concentrated into an area smaller than an atom. At this instant, matter, energy, space, and time were not existent. Then, suddenly, with a bang, the universe began to expand at an incredible rate, and matter, energy, space, and time came into being. As the universe expanded, matter began to coalesce into gas clouds and then stars and planets. Some scientists believe that this expansion is finite and will one day cease. After this point in time, the universe will begin to collapse until a big crunch occurs. Biodiversity, the diversity of different species diversity, genetic variability among individuals within each species, genetic diversity and variety of ecosystems, ecosystem diversity. Biomass, the weight of living tissues, usually measured per unit area over a particular time interval, can include the dead parts of organisms like bark, hair, and nails. Biome, largest recognizable assemblage of animals and plants on the earth. The distribution of the biomes is controlled mainly by climate. Classification, a dry environment soil forming process that results in the accumulation of calcium carbonate in surface soil layers. Caldera Volcano, explosive type of volcano that leaves a large circular depression. Some of these depressions can be as large as 40 kilometers in diameter. These volcanoes form when wet granitic magma quickly rises to the surface of the earth. Chlorofluorocarbons (CFCs) is an artificially created gas that has become concentrated in the Earth's atmosphere. This very strong greenhouse gas is released from aerosol sprays, refrigerants, and the production of fumes. Cirrocumulus clouds, patchy white high altitude cloud composed of ice crystals found in an altitude range from 5,000 to 18,000 meters. Cirrostratus clouds, high altitude sheet like clouds composed of ice crystals. These thin clouds often cover the entire sky, found in an altitude range from 5,000 to 18,000 meters. Cold front, a transition zone in the atmosphere where an advancing cold air mass displaces a warm air mass. Continental crust, granitic portion of the earth crust that makes up the continents. Thickness of the continental crust varies between 20 to 75 kilometers. Cesial layer. Coriolis force, an apparent force due to the Earth's rotation, causes moving objects to be deflected to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. Coriolis force does not exist on the equator. This force is responsible for the direction of flow in meteorological phenomena like mid-latitude cyclones, hurricanes, and anticyclones. Cumulus cloud, large clouds with relatively flat bases. These are found in an altitude range from 300 to 2000 meters. Cumulonimbus cloud, a well developed vertical cloud that often has top shaped like an anvil. These clouds can extend in altitude from a few hundred meters above the surface to more than 12,000 meters. Disappearment, a veneer of coarse particles left on the ground after the erosion of finger particles by wind. Earthquake, a sudden motion or shaking in the earth. The motion is caused by the quick release of slowly accumulated energy in the form of seismic waves. Earthquake focus, point of stress release in an earthquake, also known as hypocenter. Ebb tide, time during the tidal period when the water level in the sea is falling. Ecosystem, a system consisting of biotic and abiotic components. Both these groups are interrelated and interacting. El Nino, the name given to the occasional development of warm ocean surface waters along the coast of Ecuador and Peru. Recently, this phenomenon has been used for forecasting of climatic conditions in different parts of the world. The El Nino normally occurs around Christmas and lasts usually for a few weeks to a few months. Epicenter, a place on the surface of the earth located at the shortest distance from the focus of the earthquake, the point at which the seismic energy gets released. Global warming, warming of the earth's average global temperature because of an increase in the concentration of greenhouse gases. Geomagnetism, a property of magnetically susceptible minerals to get elegant to the Earth's magnetic field during the period of rock formation. Geostrophic wind, horizontal wind in the upper atmosphere that moves parallel to isobars, results from a balance between pressure gradient force and Coriolis force. Greenhouse effect, the greenhouse effect causes the atmosphere to trap more heat energy at the Earth's surface and within the atmosphere by absorbing and re-emitting long-wave energy. Greenhouse gases, gases responsible for the greenhouse effect. These gases include carbon dioxide CO2, methane CO4, nitrous oxide N2O, chlorofluorocarbons CFC, and tropospheric ozone O3. Habitat, location where a plant or animal lives. Hail, it is a type of precipitation received in the form of ice pellets or hailstones. The size of hailstones can be between 5 and 190 mm in diameter. Halocline, the tensionic zone in the ocean below which the salinity increases sharply. Hydration, a form of chemical weathering that involves the rigid attachment of H plus and OH minus ions to the atoms and molecules of a mineral. Hydrolysis, chemical weathering process that involves the reaction between mineral ions and the ions of water, OH minus and H plus, and results in the decomposition of the rock surface by forming new compounds. Infiltration, a portion of the precipitation which reaches the Earth's surface, seeps into the ground in the permeable strata. This process is known as infiltration. Insolation, incoming solar radiation in shortwave form. Intertropical convergence zone. ITCZ, zone of low atmospheric pressure and ascending air located at or near the equator. Rising air currents are due to global wind convergence and convection from thermal heating. Katabatic wind, any wind blowing down the slope of a mountain. Land breeze, local thermal circulation pattern found at the interface between land and water. In the circulation system, surface winds blow from land to water during the night. La Nina, conditions opposite of an El Nino. In a La Nina, the tropical Pacific trade winds become very strong and an abnormal accumulation of cold water occurs in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean. Latent heat, it is the energy required to change a substance to a higher state of matter, solid, liquid, gas. The same energy is released from the substance when the change of state is reversed, gas, liquid, solid. Neap tide, tide that occurs every 14 to 15 days and coincides with the first and last quarter of the moon. This tide has a small tidal range because the gravitational forces of the moon and sun are perpendicular to each other. Nimbostratus clouds, dark grey low altitude cloud that produces continuous precipitation in the form of rain or snow, found in an altitude range from the surface to 3000 meters. Ocule front, a transition zone in the atmosphere where an advancing cold air mass sandwiches a warm air mass between another cold air mass, pushing the warm air into the upper atmosphere. Ozone, triatomic oxygen that existed in the Earth's atmosphere as a gas. Ozone is highest in concentration in the stratosphere, 10 to 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface, where it absorbs the sun's ultraviolet radiation. Stratospheric ozone is produced naturally and helps to protect life from the harmful effects of solar ultraviolet radiation. Ozone hole, it is a sharp seasonal decrease in stratospheric ozone concentration that occurs over Antarctica in the spring. First detected in the late 1970s, the ozone hole continued to appear as a result of complex chemical reaction in the atmosphere that involves CFCs. Paleomagnetism, the alignment in terms of inclination from horizontal acquired by magnetically susceptible minerals in the rock during the period of their formation. Photosynthesis, it is the chemical process where plants and some bacteria can capture and originally fix the energy of the sun. Plate tectonics, theory suggesting that the Earth's surface is composed of a number of oceanic and continental plates driven by convection currents in the mantle. These plates have the ability to slowly move across the Earth's plastic asthenosphere. Precipitation, showering of the raindrops, snow or hailstones from the clouds onto the surface of the earth. Rainfall, snowfall, cloud burst and hailstones are forms of precipitation. Runoff, it is the flow of water over land through different channels. Solar wind, mass of ionized gas emitted to space by the sun, plays a role in the formation of auroras. Subsurface flow, it is the movement of water below the surface of the earth. After infiltration, the subsurface water returns to the surface through seepage into the streams or eventually goes into the ocean. The subsurface water flows is influenced by land slope, rainfall, intensity of groundwater extraction, etc. Thermocline boundary in a body of water where the greatest vertical change in temperature occurs. This boundary is usually the transition zone between the layer of the warm water near the surface that is mixed and the cold deep water layer. Thank you.